Good evening. Last time I was here before you, last Friday night at this podium, I was wearing a suit. And as the evening went on, I realized I was the only person in the room wearing a suit. And then as I worked with you on the charrette, and I came and went through the Wells Fargo building working with you as a community, I really lightened up. And now I've lost the suit, but I have retained the tie. There's just some things about being a consultant you just can't change. Now, as Victor said, throughout this process, we've listened to you, we've studied your ideas, we've talked to the stakeholders, we've tried to reconcile conflicting desires amongst the community, and then we developed a series of plans that serves all modes of transportation in the city. And we developed these plans based on the goals and objectives that we heard from you, the community. Now, as I go through the goals and objectives for the basic elements of the transportation plan, which is street circulation, transit, pedestrian connections, bicycle system, and then street types, there's a couple of underlying themes that you'll see keep coming out. The first is that streets are public places that are shared by everybody, and therefore they should balance all modes of travel. Now, we've been trying to hammer that home throughout this entire process. The second is that streets can be made to serve everyone and not lose their traffic function. Let's keep that in mind, it's important. So the goals and objectives for the circulation plan, the primary objective of the circulation plan is to look for connectivity opportunities, make those connections, make less circuitous transportation system, and then improve freeway access, direct access to both sides of the city from the freeway, which can relieve some of your more congested areas. And then also to provide multiple types of streets. One size does not fit all, and those street designs need to serve both their function and the adjacent land use. And then we can't forget technology. We know from experience that we can't build our way out of congestion these days, and a lot of times we have to revert to the ongoing buildup of technology for traffic engineering, which is to fine-tune the system to the best we can by coordinating signals and providing other transportation system management devices. So we will look to optimize that in the plan. The transit plan. Transit's obviously very important in Hercules. You've got very good levels of service. So the overall goal for transit is to continue to serve the city with good service levels, but also to make transit a very attractive alternative. And that can happen both at the service level and at the bus stop level with pedestrian amenities and making a bus stop actually a fairly decent place to wait for a bus. Goals and objectives for pedestrian connections. The real underlying goal here is connections, connections, connections. And using streets, a combination of streets, new sidewalks, and off-street paths. So as Victor kept saying, what if? Why don't we, let's use our imagination for a moment, and let's sticking with pedestrian connections, let's look at a scenario, a possible scenario. Let's say we wanted to walk down Sycamore on this side of the street where there isn't a sidewalk. As you can see, people do walk. There is a trail there. There's a lot of footwork going over the little embankment there under the railroad trestle to get to the other side. So there's a desire to walk on this side of the street. It's not all that attractive, and it's not necessarily safe at this point. But let's use our imagination. Let's imagine that there is a sidewalk there and some additional landscaping. And that we've also gotten rid of the berm in the railroad trestle, and we've put a new retaining wall there so we can get through that part. Okay, so now we can get down to the intersection of Bayberry and Sycamore. What happens when we end up there? Well, that's what it looks without the sidewalk. And we get to this intersection. It's a pretty big intersection, carries a lot of traffic. There's some visibility issues. Drivers can't see you. You can't see the drivers, and there's just high-speed right turn right through here that people won't really slow down for pedestrians. And again, there's these columns and visibility issues. So let's use our imagination. How would you make this intersection more pedestrian-friendly on this side of the street? Well, maybe we would start by getting rid of the high-speed right turn lane. Maybe we don't need that. Maybe we could fill that in with kind of a plaza here, a raised concrete sidewalk area, and then bring the curbing out further away from that column there so we're not hidden behind the column when the cars approach the intersection. And then we put crosswalks on all four legs of the intersection. We still have the same number of lanes, so we can accommodate the same number of traffic, but now we can walk on this side of the street and be seen by traffic. Okay, let's take it a little bit further. let's make it a little more attractive so we actually really want to walk there from our residence up here on Sycamore down to the new commercial centers that are being proposed. Let's put some landscaping in here. So what a difference, huh? Bicycle system. The overall goal for the bike system really is to link all parts of the city wherever we possibly can, both with combination of bike lanes on street and some off-street multi-use paths. The bike path system with combination of bike lanes in red and bike paths that are off-street in pink, to the extent that we can, connects just about all parts of the city. Provides a pretty good bicycle transportation system. Trucks. We really can't forget trucks. Now, trucks drive commercial business. That's how they get their goods. That's how you get your goods. They need to get to the commercial areas. They need to get to the industrial areas. So we really can't ignore them. So we need to design streets to accommodate the trucks, particularly on the primary freight routes and to and from the industrial areas. And if we improve the freeway access, we also get the trucks off of the local streets and get them directly to where they want to go. Okay, street types. The plan's going to have a number of different types of streets. We're not just going to stick with arterial and collector. We've actually broken it down into a number of different types of streets. These all have specific design parameters, and they serve different types of land use. And they're, frankly, integrated with the land use. So we have downtown streets, mixed-use avenues and streets, residential avenues and streets, and then down to the neighborhood level, and even down to the alley and small lane level. Now, these streets differ. They differ in size, they differ in traffic volumes, they differ in their function, but you'll find in the examples I'm about to show you that they all have common elements. In the examples I'm going to show you, the common element is they're all very attractive and comfortable places to walk, despite the different types of function they have. There are downtown streets. They can be 2 or 4 lane. They can have different widths of sidewalks and lots of pedestrian amenities and lighting. They can serve different types of land use, but it's usually a mixed use type of street. There are mixed-use avenues that specifically serve retail with some housing, with some office. Again, walking is a very important aspect of this type of street. There are some, and this happens to be San Pablo Avenue down in the Berkeley area. There are mixed-use avenues that carry lots of traffic, have parking on the side, still carry lots of pedestrians, and have viable businesses on their edges. There are mixed-use avenues that carry lots of traffic but also look very attractive and have different and unique traffic control devices in them. And there are mixed-use streets. These typically don't have medians. They're smaller downtown areas, more walkable. This happens to be Calistoga, and this has a historical character about it. Then there are residential avenues. These are maybe the equivalent of a collector, so they carry a little bit more attractive, but they're very attractive to walk on. They have trees in the median or medians, and then they have landscape edges. And then there are residential streets. These are smaller streets serving, actually fronting homes in residential neighborhoods. They can be very narrow. The houses can be right up against the street. Again, though, there's this pedestrian amenity with the pedestrian scaled lighting, and you know, it's a place that you don't mind walking. And what you're looking at, instead of a bunch of garage doors, if the housing is done right, is you're looking at porches, possibly people on those porches talking to you, your neighbors. There are neighborhood streets, getting down to even a tighter level. And then finally, there are alleys and lanes, which could serve the back of multifamily units. These where the garages could be. These could provide services for garbage and fire. It's important to design for pedestrians. It's important to provide enough capacity for traffic, but it's also important to provide for pedestrians and bicycles. Urban design elements like benches and garbage cans and fountains and street trees are all very important, particularly in mixed use and downtown areas. Wide sidewalks if you're expecting a lot of traffic, pedestrian traffic, but amenities such as benches and trees for shade. Designing for the pedestrian who crosses the street with attractive crosswalks and special warning devices to help cars slow down when they get to the pedestrian areas. And just very attractive pedestrian-oriented areas. And again, you can do this without losing the traffic function of the street. The street can still work for cars, but it can also work for pedestrians and bikes. So, bringing the plans together. The plans will, all these components, the bicycle, truck, pedestrian connections, and vehicle circulation and transit will all come together in a cohesive plan that can accommodate traffic and other modes of travel. And these plans will be implemented with the district code that Victor's going to speak about. So with the bringing together of these plans, you have the opportunity of changing this to this. Now, Victor will also go into the district code aspect of the plan.
Let's thank Jim for being a special kind of traffic engineer.